should do it, I think. It's a sound installation. Okay, I'm Patric Cunnane. Welcome back to me. Thank you. And let's see. Bit of an anthropological note before I read this poem. It's called The Naked Poem, and it's said that in Papua New Guinea it's customary when listening to poems read by a man wearing a beard and glasses to remove all your clothes. I understand that habit has now spread to Covent Garden, so please feel free while I'm reading this Meisterwerk to remove all your clothing. People should spend more time naked. If we all took our clothes off, there would be less differences than you might imagine. Think of those times when awake on a summer morning, you tiptoe to the bathroom naked, blessed only with your fine cloth of flesh and silkily urinate. People should spend more time naked. Underpants are uncomfortable, brassieres imprison proud nipples, shoes strangle toes quivering to explore. Trousers deny sunlight to pallid knees, to genitals, those precious plants of life. Clothes should only be worn out of doors on cold days in Alaska to protect tough lumberjacks from falling trees. Discover yourself. Take your clothes off now. It's warm enough in here to fry breakfast on the floor. Let your fingers do the walking. Explore your neighbour. Explore yourself. Imagine a dog on a winter's day, rolling naked in snow. Think of fat cows at Christmas, patiently standing naked in straw. People should do more things naked. Watch television naked. Drive your car naked. Fall into yoga postures naked. Open the door to friends naked. Arrive at work naked. Make political speeches without clothes on. Go swimming naked. Get married in saintly churches naked. Go to war naked. Do not clothe yourself with guns. Understand nakedness and clothe your mind. Do not be ashamed of breasts, penises, fat thighs. Ignore the fat cats queuing up in silk shirts, waiting to die. Dress yourself only in nakedness, a fine suit fashioned by the natural tailor of natural joy. Spend the rest of this week naked. Leave dodo modern poets jumping June at the Poetry Cafe, Covent Garden, naked. Begin now by removing your wristwatch. This is a little story really, I suppose. I entered it for a short story slam. It didn't win, so I thought I'd make some more capital out of it by reading it as poetry readings occasionally. And the theme of the story slam was games. So this is set in a Roman arena with some fairly horrible history games going on, and it's spoken from the point of view of a lion. Eating Christians is no good for my digestion. Maybe it's the circumstances. The hot, dusty arena, the chanting crowds, the music. None of it conducive to a relaxing meal. Not that I get a chance to eat much Christian. They usually drag them away once I've snapped their stringy neck and they fall lifeless at my paws. The Romans expect a lot from us lions. Don't they realise we can't perform at the drop of a toga? A leisurely starter would be nice. Perhaps a couple of cheetah or leopard cubs, or a wild dog pup. I'd rather be back in the savannah, feasting on antelope or gazelle, filling my mouth with their warm African blood. As far as I'm concerned, Italian cooking will never catch on. This is my latest collection. It's called Looking for Eden, and I've included in it a few poems which are based on biblical stories. And it started off when I was looking at Da Vinci's fresco of the Last Supper, and I thought, The peculiar thing about that picture is they're having a dinner party, but they're all sitting on one side of the table, which you'd never do. Obviously, the artist needed to do that, otherwise you wouldn't see them all facing you. But then it might maybe start thinking, well, where would they have actually eaten this Last Supper? It wouldn't have been a grand place. There weren't people who were well off. So I tried to imagine what kind of eating place the Last Supper takes place in. And here it is. It may have been his Last Supper, but the rest of us went on to eat again. The wine was poor and the bread stale, but we had delicious oranges for pudding, torn into segments. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. It wasn't spacious and grand like in the pictures, but down a little side street, we were all squashed against the wall. Latecomers had to balance plates on their knees. 13 people together can be noisy. You really had to shout to get your point across. I proposed a toast to him. He wouldn't hear it. To us all, he said. A great cheer went up. Why didn't we just slip over the border? He would still be here now, and the Last Supper would be a forgotten meal, except for the oranges, which were delicious, and the wine, which gave me a headache next day. Funny little coincidences do happen in poetry readings. Like we haven't rehearsed between us which poems we were going to read tonight, but Lizella finished her first set with a poem about an uncle of hers who died. And this is about the same idea, really. It's called The Lost Child, and two of my uncles from my father's side of the family, who were born in Sligo in the west of Ireland, didn't survive childhood. So myself and my brother, Patric and Kevin, were named after these two children, quite common for infant mortality in that time. So I thought I'd actually try and talk to Patric through this poem. So this is The Lost Child. I was named after a dead child, born in the long ago west of Ireland, in the mountainy land where soft rain washes pebbles to sea, where the Atlantic holds hands with the Holy Ghost. There are no images from that time of the infant gurgling in his mother's arms, gazing up at his father, cradled in their love and the landscape. No images of the treasured child that never grew to meet his nephew, to learn his 10 times table, to read and write, make crayons dance, to take turkeys and butter to market, to raise a pint in Calorans, to set out from Tubbercurry into the world. God bless you, Patric. I wear your name with pride. I hope I am living enough for the both of us. When I get to heaven, take me to one side. Tell me the dreams I should have realized, the world I should have built in your honor. Fair enough for a blessed infant to grow and have children of his own. You live in my heart, Patric. I leave the door ajar so you can step inside for warmth, and we can raise a glass to twin souls in a holy communion across the years. Thank you. This is the oldest poem in the collection. I started writing this many, many years ago, and I couldn't quite get it right. When I was editing the poems for this collection, I had another go, and I thought, this is not so bad now, so I'll read this poem. It's called Emily, and it's about somebody living alone and aging in a house where they had moved into when they were young. She lived alone in a house where nothing but solitude and the years moved towards some kind of understanding. A house where even the furniture plotted to escape, the rubber plants on the window turning dark with age, while the central heating fought a losing battle against a different kind of cold, and where faded 1950s photographs remind of the bright newlyweds who once invaded, like children discovering a beach. An evening called Jumping June, even though it hasn't been all that jumping in terms of the weather, apart from the rain bouncing off the streets like stair rods. It wouldn't be complete without a poem set in the seaside. I did one in the first half about Bognor Regis. This is a poem called The Man in the Red Pullover. There was an exhibition at a gallery in Newcastle of postcard photographs, and what was interesting, I thought, was that postcard photographers borrow a trick from Constable, who frequently put a figure in red in his landscapes, and when they go down to the seaside, they have a red pullover in the back of the car and they force some helpless person to wear it so they can be in a view of Bognor Regis Promenade or something like that. So it's a poem pleading for freedom for people who want to stroll unmolested along the seafront wearing a red pullover. So it's saying really to the paparazzi, let my people be. Spot him if you can. The man in the red pullover strolling along the sand. He's the universal walker at home in every land. So cool he walks alone with no one by his hand. Maybe he has a dog, but he doesn't let that show. He's not in any hurry, got no particular place to go. He lives for the summer and enjoys it all alone. You'll find him on the promenade, that's his special home. The man in the red pullover cries to his secret heart, why is it so cold inside when I'm so important to postcard art? I'm a lonely man in a red pullover. I stroll down to the sea. Those waves need never roll, for all they mean to me. Thanks very much indeed, and I'd like to welcome back for her second set, Maggie Oakey. Step this way, Maggie. Measure you up for the microphone. It's about that.
Yeah, measure me up.